The Mario RPGs. I left these games mostly untouched in my initial video for one simple reason. Determining whether these games are canon or whether any of these Marios are even the same person at all is a mind-bending exercise that quickly turns into a rabbit hole all its own. Seriously, are the Mario RPGs canon? Is a question that makes Donkey Kong's familial lineage seem simple. But who are we to let that stop us? Strap in and let's try our best. Now, whether it's Super Mario RPG, the Paper Mario series, or the Mario & Luigi series, these games have such a significantly different set of locations and characters from the main games that one's first instinct upon playing them may be to view them as side stories that are just fundamentally incompatible with the mainline canon. Just interpretations of the Mario universe in one form or another. After all, Square Enix, not Nintendo, made Super Mario RPG, so perhaps it's just their take on the universe. Paper Mario was quite literally called Mario Story in Japan, and its paper storybook aesthetic can easily be interpreted as confirmation that it's all taking place inside of a book, a framing device that separates it from the mainline Mario canon. If only it were so simple. You see, as these side series grew over the years, this became a really difficult position to hold, because more and more nods and references to them started sprouting up back in the mainline Mario canon. There are tons of examples of this, but let's go over some of the major ones first. The Star Spirits, which debuted as a major plot crux in the original Paper Mario, show back up prominently as the hosts of Mario Party 5. Goomboss, a memorable King Goomba boss character from Paper Mario, later reappears in the DS remake of Super Mario 64, as well as in Mario Kart DS. The Dry Desert, or more specifically the Dry Ruins, which are a major locale from Paper Mario, have resurfaced time and time again as a racing course in various Mario Kart games. Bowser's Castle in Mario Kart Super Circuit looks like it was ripped straight out of Paper Mario. And you get the idea, right? And there's certainly more examples, but I suppose these are the sort of things that could be hand-waved away as merely coincidence or artistic choices. I mean, Bowser's Castle looking similar in two games doesn't necessarily mean they exist in the same universe, right? But let's dive deeper. How about the Toadette trophy from Super Smash Bros. Brawl, which explicitly lists her as having directly appeared in both Mario Kart Double Dash and Paper Mario The Thousand Year Door, implying that Toadette and Paper Toadette are probably the same person. And we're focusing a lot on examples from Paper Mario, but how about one of the most blatant examples, being the Blocks of Nostalgia exhibit in the Woohoo University in Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga. This room is literally stated in-game to be a collection of blocks that have featured in Mario's past adventures, and include examples from not only the mainline 2D and 3D platformers, but even a block from Paper Mario itself, seemingly linking all of the Marios definitively as one singular entity. And just to get the original Super Mario RPG linked in as well, Superstar Saga, at least the original Game Boy Advance release, featured a very prominent cameo of Geno from Super Mario RPG during this minigame. It did get removed in the remake, but we can assume that's because Square owns the rights to Geno and not for reasons relating to continuity. And if all of that wasn't enough to establish all of these Marios as a singular Mario, let's hear it straight from the horse's mouth.
There are multiple links, but is it always the same Mario?
一緒です。ミッキーと一緒。
So there you have it. That about settles it, right? I mean, you heard it yourself. Mario is Mario is Mario. It's all Mario. It's a done deal. One Mario, nothing more to discuss. I guess it wasn't even really that complicated after all. I mean, you know, I don't even know what all the commotion was. Wait. What? Oh, come on, you gotta be kidding me. Alright, fine. Okay, so Mario & Luigi Paper Jam single-handedly throws a wrench in everything by being entirely centered around the idea of the real Mario characters coming into direct contact with their paper counterparts. What? The in-game explanation once again refers to a book that contains the Paper Mario universe, but this time a literal in-universe book, not just a storybook as a framing device for the audience to view the story through. It's described as a parallel universe where all of the characters and events of the quote-unquote real Mario world are mirrored perfectly within its pages, albeit in paper form. However, this gets super complicated. For one, how exactly are real-world non-paper versions of the Mario cast supposed supposed to achieve feats such as rolling themselves into paper tubes or folding themselves into paper airplanes. Feats that Mario would have had to do to achieve the things he does in the later Paper Mario games. While the original Paper Mario largely treats the whole paper thing as merely an art style, the games increasingly make it clear over the course of the series that Paper Mario is literally a sheet of paper, doing things that would be physically impossible for anything with functioning organs to mimic in any fashion. They go so hard on the whole arts and crafts motif that by Sticker Star we're fighting enemies with literal scissors and blowing away their paper-thin bodies with what appears to be a desktop fan. There's no way that the real flesh and blood Mario has done half of this stuff in a literal one-to-one sense. And wait, what about the blocks of nostalgia room from Superstar Saga? It said straight up that these blocks are from Mario's past adventures, including one from Paper Mario. So, let me get this straight. Paper Mario, who is also the same Mario from the mainline platformers, I guess, progresses, somehow becomes not paper anymore, goes through the events of all the Mario and Luigi games, and then meets another Paper Mario that isn't himself? That doesn't make any sense at all. And if Mario had already been through the events of Paper Mario at this point in Superstar Saga, why would the cast of characters be shocked about the existence of the paper world by the time we get to Paper Jam? And that's not even addressing the blatant contradiction between two Marios ever meeting each other in any context and Miyamoto's own statement that Mario is simply Mario. What is going on? But wait, there's another layer. So, there's this penguin character, and yeah, I know they're technically called bumpties, but let's just keep it simple where we can, please. There's this penguin in Paper Mario 64 that tells you about how Herringway, a novelist penguin you met earlier in the game, is going to write all about your adventures in a book that he's going to call Paper Mario. And on its face, especially at the time this game released, it seemed like this is more of just a fun nod to the storybook presentation of the game. At least, that's how I always interpreted it. But isn't it kind of odd that the book would be called Paper Mario? Like, if this is all a storybook, we're seeing it as paper, as the audience, but it's presumably recounting events that really happened to the real Mario. So why would the book be called Paper Mario? This line would almost make more sense if it was said by a random character in a normal Mario game. Like, if a toad in Mario 64 just remarked that he was going to write a book about Mario called Paper Mario. I'm being pedantic at this point, and either way, it would mostly just function as sort of a fourth wall breaking style nod, but it did get me thinking deeper. Maybe this is intentional and actually does explain the existence of a second Paper Mario. Remember, Superstar Saga Mario is confirmed to have been Paper Mario in the past, so perhaps the second Mario he eventually meets in Paper Jam is the Paper Mario from the book Paper Mario from the game Paper Mario. And the Paper Mario from the later Paper Mario games that genuinely acts like a piece of actual paper is the only one that's literally from a book, whereas the original Paper Mario game is a story that happened to the real-world Mario, merely presented to us, the audience, in a storybook style. Books within books, Marios within Marios, Luigi's within Bowser's, it's out of control. But no, none of this works either, because we have direct confirmation that all of the Paper Marios from the various different Paper Mario games are in fact the same Mario at least. Namely, in the intro of Super Paper Mario, you can see framed pictures of the partner characters from the previous two Paper Mario games inside of Mario's house. And if that wasn't enough, Origami King featured plain sight portraits of Peach's depiction from each and every one of the previous Paper Mario games right here on this wall. So the Inception-like book within a book explanation for all of this doesn't really hold much weight. And we're back to a point of none of this making much sense at all. Especially when you consider, again, that there is absolutely no reconciling this with this in any way that I can make heads or tails of. So where does this leave all these games? Like we discussed earlier, so many elements of these games have bled into the mainstream Mario-verse that discounting them entirely seems impossible. I mean, arguably, Super Mario RPG and Paper Mario 64 are responsible for cementing a lot of the broader characterizations of the Mario cast that have stuck ever since. At least in my mind, the idea of Luigi being a quirky oddball that's stuck in Mario's shadow, an over-the-top goofy depiction of Bowser, I mean, hell, Paper Mario 64 is commonly cited by fans as one of the best and most fleshed out depictions of Princess Peach in any Mario game ever, still to this day, and I would tend to agree. I would go even further and say that the entirety of Paper Mario 64 is the best traditional Mario vs. Bowser story ever told. And it doesn't end there. Cackletta and especially Fawful from Superstar Saga are some of the best written villains in any RPG, let alone Mario ones, and stuff like the Shroobs tie in nicely with the alien themes I elaborated on in my Mario map. Mushroom aliens from a dying planet that are extracting the mushroom life force known as Vim from toads in a weird lab? Yeah, sign me up. But as much as I enjoy all of these elements, and as cool as a lot of the fan theories are that purport to correctly canonize everything neatly are, seriously, check out this one in particular from Sean D. Walsh. This timeline is absolutely insane. It's one of the coolest fan efforts I've ever seen. I'll throw the link on screen. I do have to ultimately say, though, that there just is no right answer. As unsatisfying as that may be, the good news is that this leaves it all open to interpretation. In my headcanon, Paper Mario 64 is definitely a real Mario story. And in your headcanon, maybe all of these games really happened. It's really up to you. If even Miyamoto himself can't keep the story straight, I think we can all cut ourselves some slack and just ignore the parts that don't make sense to us individually. There's no giant scissors in my Mario, personally. But while one true canon may elude us, if we're taking things more lightheartedly, the possibilities are truly endless. And that's exactly what I'm going to dive into when we get back to the extended version of the Mario map. But until then, I'm Backseat Sakurai, and I'll catch you later.
Hello there, and sorry to be interrupting. My name is Paper Bullet William, not to be confused with my brother, Bullet William, who is not made out of paper. My brother is deeply upset that many of the Backseat Sakurai viewers have been saying his claim that Waluigi is Wario's brother is false. However, using the power of modern technology, we can visit the original Mario Tennis website and verify that my brother's research was entirely factual and not at all unfounded. Although he is aware that contrary statements have been made in the interim, he believes Wario is merely ashamed to have such a disgrace as a brother. This, of course, is something I cannot empathize with, as my brother, Bullet William, who is a different person, and totally not just me in a different universe, is a remarkable one-of-a-kind guy. Anyway, Paper Bullet William, signing out.